Hi guys, Iddqd here. I today wanted to talk about other weapons. This is the official weapon tier list from me. Remember, before I start, this is my opinion. What I think is the best weapon in the game. Maybe it doesn't reflect yours. Either way, we had some nerfs to some guns, and some guns got some buffs. And we're talking about the 16th of April. Apex released a patch, and they nerfed the wingman a little bit more. Justifiably so. And we had some buffs to longbow, DMR, Havoc. I have separated the lists in, basically the way I want them to be. So we're looking at God tier, super tier, good tier, mediocre, and then, of course, garbage tier. And my tier list is completely engulfed in the fact that all these guns come fully attached. My opinion to this is, basically at late game, you kind of want to have the best weapon possible, right? So you have the best chances of winning. I feel if you drop, it's not really going to matter whether you find an RE45 or an alternator, but I sure as hell will pick the R99 if I found one, right? So I figured it'd be more appropriate to talk about a weapon tiers list when we have all the attachments included. So if we're talking about the R99, we're talking about all the attachments included on it. Some people do tier lists without attachments in mind, and I think it's a little bit deceiving. A lot of people seem to be like, why is this gun not performing as well as the other explained it? So I figured, let's do a tier list when we have all the attachments in mind. Initially, we had basically done a tier list earlier this week, but with the recent nerfs and changes and buffs to some weapons, I figured it'd be smart to maybe scrap that one, but take some information from that list, and then sort of do a new one with that list in mind. In this tier list, however, I have also decided to include legendary weapons. By request, of course, even though I always think legendary weapons should be insta pickup, some people might find it a little bit interesting. Anyways, let's start. God tier. The wingman had indeed got a nerf. Base mag had been reduced from 6 to 4 rounds, common mag extender reduced from 8 to 6, rare mag extender reduced to 9 to 8, and epic was reduced from 12 to 10. I don't think it's much of a surprise that a fully attached wingman is still the best weapon in the game. Its fire rate, undeniably one of the higher. It does so much damage, and fully attached, this weapon is still the best weapon in the game. The only problem now is that it isn't a powerhouse as soon as you drop. And that is the major issue with the gun right now. But overall, if you do find a skull piercer and you find, like, let's say a blue mag, if you can still hit your shots, this gun is still the best weapon in the game. The nerfs are just not enough to put this gun down anywhere else. The fire rate is so good. Stopping power is insane. Skull piercer, still OP. Please fix. But yeah, wingman, still the best gun in the game. Since we are including legendary weapons in this game, second place, and we're talking God tier still. First place of God tier was wingman. Second place of God tier is the Mastiff. Obvious reasons. This gun is so goddamn good, it's unreal. With the small nerfs that the Peacekeeper have been getting over time, the Mastiff wins. There's not really much to say. This gun is just so goddamn good. Look at the damage. Look at the range. Look at this. Right now we have wingman, Mastiff on God tier list, and we are being accompanied by a light weapon. And we're looking at the R99. R99, undisputably one of the best weapons in the game. Fully attached, this gun barely has any recoil. The handling of the weapon, it becomes so much easier. R99 is a powerhouse. It definitely wins the number 3 spot on the God tier list, and the reason why is because you can equip this bad boy with a digital threat. I don't think there's much more to say, but R99, yep, you strong, you scary. The hip fire is barely noticeable, and the ADS is nuts. R99 hasn't really been getting that many nerfs, actually. I don't think it's been getting any nerf at all. I could be wrong on that, but R99, for sure, the God tier list. Number 3. God tier list number 4, which is also the last weapon, is the kraber. Again, we're talking about legendary weapons. Initially, I didn't want to include these, but I think, a lot of people requested them to be included, so I figured, let's do it. Moving down to super tier. We start with the R301. R301, my favorite gun in the game. It's so solid. Haven't really received any nerfs as far as I'm concerned of, and rightfully so. It is a very balanced gun. R301, fully equipped, fully attached, but everything that it has to offer. Now with also the change to 1 to 2 scope, this gun becomes an absolute beast. It's in the number 1 spot in the super tier list. Coming on to number 2 on super tier, we're talking about the Spitfire. Spitfire did receive some nerfs. It did receive a damage nerf to it. Bullets went from 20 to 18 damage. Clip reduced on all tiers. I think white, blue, and epic, they all came with small size nerfs. So basically you have less bullets in the chamber or in the mag, which I think is completely fine. However, the Spitfire still packs a lot of punch. It still does a tremendous amount of damage. 18 to 20 will not bring this bad boy down. It has a lot of ammunition in it still, and that is one of the few reasons to why this one is such a popular gun. The only reason to why the Spitfire isn't in the God tier list today is because initially 20 damage per bullet is very high, and I honestly thought it deserved a higher tier place in last weapons tier list. But since now, after the nerfs of this morning, this bad boy goes down to super tier list. I still think this gun is very much a powerhouse. I still think the gun is very, very good. And one of the few reasons is the massive amount of bullets that come with it fully equipped. Number 3 on the super tier list, we have a shotgun. It is, of course, the Peacekeeper. Fully equipped, Peacekeeper is still very much so a powerhouse in this game. Does a tremendous amount of damage. Early to late game, doesn't really matter. This gun scales very nice, and one of the few reasons to why the Peacekeeper remains to be in the super tier list on the 3rd spot is because it doesn't really need attachments at all to be very, very good. Now, if you find the purple bolt, and as we said, we have attachments in mind, the purple bolt makes this gun very, very good. It does so much damage from medium to close range. And the Peacekeeper, I don't think it needs any discussion. I always seem to pick this gun up, but I have actually swapped out the Peacekeeper for the R99 lately. And for me, the Peacekeeper still remains in the top. Here's another difference though. The EVA becomes the last spot in the super tier list. EVA with a purple bolt. You chuck 60 to 70 damage per shot on someone, and considering how fast it shoots, it's a disgusting gun. I advise you to try out the EVA with a purple bolt more often. Not just as when you drop, but I was starting to experience that EVA and a Peacekeeper combination can actually be quite deadly, and I have won what I thought was going to be difficult games, shotgun only games, with EVA and Peacekeeper fully equipped. These guys are actually quite a monster together. You have one a little bit slower Peacekeeper, and then you have the much faster EVA. We've gone through God tier and super tier, now we've got the good tier. Good tier, good tier. Luckily, the Havoc did receive a couple of buffs. We went from 25 to 32 rounds on the mag size, which is very, very good. But not only that, the Select Fire charge beam has been reduced from 5 to 4. Select Fire is still really, really bad, so it doesn't really matter. You don't need to care about the Select Fire here. Select Fire is actually kind of bad. We don't even talk about Select Fire when we're talking about this gun. Fully attached and fully equipped with attachments, this guy will have a turbocharger, so Select Fire is completely null and void in this tier list. But with an increased equip from 25 to 32, it starts to become a little bit more competitive. Initially, I did like the Havoc a lot. I actually felt like it could have more potential than the Devotion. But the reason why it never really had beaten the Devotion in the tier list is because the ammo clip size. It was so small. Devotion almost has double, and that becomes a huge problem for the Havoc because initially it was just a mini Devotion. And it was just as rare, so people generally wouldn't want to use the Havoc because you'd rather have a Devotion. The damage output on the Devotion, or the DPS on Devotion is much higher than the Havoc, but since the Devotion has more DPS, just as bad handling as the Havoc, and more ammo in the chamber, or in the clip size, then why would you ever use a Havoc? But the Havoc did receive buffs. We're looking at 25 magazine bullet capacity to 32, which is a nice little change. Those extra 7 bullets will actually help out more than you think. And therefore, this Havoc will now bump down the Devotion. Devotion is no longer the number 1 on the good tier list. The Havoc is. I advise you guys to try out this gun right now. It actually feels nice. It's much better. And the gold drop across the world will now drop with a turbocharger. That is probably the best buff this gun could have had. We need that turbocharger. So thank you for that. Respawn, you did a good job. Havoc is now the number 1 on the good tier list. And not surprisingly, one gun got a ton of buffs, and it's the longbow. Hell yeah, the longbow. I have always wanted to like this gun. It shoots so much faster, and it's very notably so. When you're in training range and you try this gun out without attachments, not that attachment would matter, but you can actually feel the difference of the rate. We were also blessed with an extra bullet. So now he's picking it up straight from the ground. We have 6 instead of 5. It shoots from 1.2 seconds to 1.6 in fire rate, which is actually quite a big buff. However, if you think about it, the longbow doesn't really beat any other gun on the list that has, you know, been named before it. Now, with full attachments, however, I've been trying this gun out today. This gun is actually very, very much fun to play. You will see me use the longbow way more on stream. Maybe I will update this tier list a couple days or maybe a week and a half, you know, down the road. But right now, I feel like the longbow deserves to be the number 2 on the good tier list. Coming in on number 3 on good tier list, we have the Devotion. Devotion. Initially, Devotion Havoc has actually changed place from my list a week ago and from my list today. And one of the few reasons to why is because I always liked the Havoc better than Devotion. Because of the, basically, I don't know, I always just preferred the Havoc. I can't really put my finger on it. But with the recent change now to the Havoc, Devotion and Havoc has now changed place. The Devotion comes in on number 3 on the good tier list. You know, it does more damage and DPS than the Havoc. It has a bigger equip size. I don't know. It also tears through bullets much faster than the Havoc, so some would say that you'd waste more bullets playing with the Devotion than you would with the Havoc. And I would say that is true. That is very true. Since the Havoc shoots much slower, fully charged, I think that you have a knack of preserving your ammo and placing your bullets better than you would with the Devotion. Devotion is more of a Hail Mary. Spray and pray, right? Honestly though, when they go teeth to teeth, fully attached, the Devotion does more damage. But I do prefer the Havoc over the Devotion. If you try them both out, let me know how you feel. I honestly feel like the Havoc wins this race this time around, at least with the recent changes. And now with the Havoc being a gold weapon instead of having a select fire, it has a turbocharger. It also quite nice change. And that is the ending of the good tier. Mediocre tier list. I know a lot of people still want to hear these, so let's go for it. Prowler, fully equipped, is the number 1 on the mediocre tier list. Don't really have to say much. Prowler is a solid gun. It's not a bad gun by any say. It just doesn't provide anything that the better guns in the list so far does not. Prowler is a good gun, very dependent on getting that select fire. But when you have it, or if you find a gold Havoc, gold Prowler, it's still a very much good gun. It delivers, it does its job. It's just, it's hard to come by all the attachments, right? And again, another weapon that's kind of overshadowed is the Scout. Scout comes in on number 2. I love the Scout personally. But with this horrible iron sights and all that kind of stuff, bleh, I don't like it. I don't. Fully equipped, however, the Scout is a good weapon. I think it's underrated. I actually do think it's underrated. I've seen a lot of people put the Scout down on very, very bottom of tier lists. I don't agree with that. I don't think it's the best gun on the game. I do think it deserves a number 2 spot on the mediocre tier list, though, however, fully equipped. Again, if I have R99, R301, Spitfire, or Scout, I would never pick up the Scout. Coming in on number 3 on the mediocre tier. This one was kind of difficult. I feel like the triple take and the Hemlock is going to be on the same tier. I like the Hemlock. I don't think it's a bad weapon. I just don't like the burst mechanic. I know a lot of people don't too, so you have the single fire mechanic, right? Problem is, however, fully equipped doesn't really do that much. A naked Hemlock feels just like a fully attached Hemlock, which is kind of weird. If you're single firing, it doesn't really matter. And that's what I prefer. So Hemlock becomes a shared spot with the triple take. Triple take is, again, not a bad gun. I feel like the triple take, however, has a little bit of an identity crisis. I've seen people call it the energy shotgun, which is true. I have also seen people call it the energetic garbage sniper, or whatever you want to call it. And that's true too. I feel like the triple take does have a sort of an identity crisis. This gun, however, does do a lot of damage early game. It packs a massive punch when you first drop and you find this. Like, triple take is one of the guns I would pick up almost immediately if I saw it without attachment, because it delivers a huge little burst, specifically if you hit head. It does 138 and 69 on body. Garbage tier. Figured I'd want to add this. Since we have numbers in garbage tier, obviously, the first in garbage is Flatline. His gun is awful. Fully attached. Doesn't really provide anything new from being completely naked. Sure, you might handle the recoil a little bit better, but the fire rate is so low. Damage is 16, and this is supposed to represent an AK in this game? No, I don't need to say a lot. Flatline is absolutely garbage, and therefore it is garbage tier. On the number 2 spot on garbage tier is 2 light weapons. We have the Alternator and the RE45. Again, I only pick up these weapons when I drop, and I throw them away immediately for any other gun on the list. Alternator and R45, don't really need to say that much. They're shared number 2 garbage spot because, I mean, I feel like they do a somewhat similar job. And then number 3, I think everyone guessed it. Number 3 garbage, I think P2020 and Mozambique are, obviously, you know, I don't even need to say much. They take the last spot together. And they can stay there together. There you go. Anyways, with that being said, guys, thank you so much for checking out my weapon tier list. Hope you guys enjoyed it. I had a lot of fun doing this. And I know this has been one of the more requested videos to put on the tube, and I figured, hey, why not? It's also kind of cool for me to kind of look back. Maybe this can be some sort of thing that I consistently do with new patches coming out, trying out new weapons. Maybe we can start with this weapon tier list, and from this point onward, we can get better. Or I can get better at making these. I can get better at testing and provide more results. If you guys happen to like what you see, you can always drop a like in the bottom and hit that notification button if you want to. We are trying our best to make the video short, and that is kind of what I want to do. I want to put out quality content. I don't really care how long the video is, but if you guys want to help me out a little bit extra, you can always hit me up on Twitch, guys. I'm always streaming, and you can hit me up on twitch.tv/Iddqd, or you can also hit me up on Twitter, which is, the handle is simple. It's at Iddqd on Twitter as well. Without further ado, guys, hope you guys have a kick-ass day, and I hope to see you guys soon. Thanks so much for watching.